So a new bill has been introduced into Congress, which aims to completely repeal the National Firearms Act and also all of its restrictions. So let's talk about this. But real quick before we jump into this video, if you think the NFA needs to be done away with, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. Also, I want to thank the sponsor of this video, which is Sonoran Desert Institute. SDI is an accredited online college that helps students learn these skills and techniques they will need to be successful in the firearms industry. So if you enjoy gun repair, ballistics, and learning about firearms, SDI might be a good option for you. To find out more about SDI, you can visit their website linked down below. And thank you again to SDI for sponsoring this video. How's it going, everyone? My name is Anthony Miranda. I am a licensed and practicing attorney in the state of California with an emphasis on Second Amendment rights. I've been part of Second Amendment litigation both at a state level and a national level, while serving as a staff attorney with the Firearms Policy Coalition legal team. My goal with these videos is not to provide you any legal advice, but instead to help you understand what's currently going on in the battle for our right to keep and bear arms. As I mentioned in the intro, in this video, we will be discussing a new bill, which has been introduced into Congress, and it aims to completely repeal the NFA. Republican Missouri Representative Eric Burlison and a group of House Republicans introduced this piece of legislation on Wednesday. The bill focuses completely on repealing the NFA and getting rid of all of its current restrictions. This bill has obviously captured the attention of many in the Second Amendment community because of the current ATF overreach in their frames and receivers rule, and also the recent pistol brace rule that they dropped, which treats any pistol with a brace attached to it as an SBR and therefore subjects them to the restrictions under the NFA. Now, the text of this bill is actually very simple. The title of the bill is simply cited as the Repeal the NFA Act, and the bill simply states that Chapter 53 of the Internal Revenue Code of 1986 and the item relating to such chapter in the table of chapters for subtitle E are hereby repealed. So the text is very simple. It's simply just one paragraph, and it just aims to completely repeal the text of the NFA from federal laws. Representative Burlison stated in his press release in relation to this bill that the federal government has used the National Firearms Act for almost a century to violate law-abiding citizens' Second Amendment rights. The recent ATF pistol brace rule is just another example of these blatant attacks on the constitutional rights of Americans. The ATF/NFA sham needs to end. He went on to state that the Repeal the NFA Act will strip the ATF of its authority to criminalize lawful gun owners and will undo nearly 90 years of assault on fundamental freedoms. I'm proud to stand with and support Americans nationwide as we take this issue head on. So that's the statement of the representative who put forward this bill. This bill is also supported by various co-sponsors, including Representatives Andy Bigg, Matt Gaetz, Paul Gosar, Mary Miller, and then Andy Ogles, I think that's how you say his name. This bill is obviously interesting, and it's being presented in direct reaction to the ATF's recent overreach and them introducing their new rule on pistol braces. If you're not familiar, the ATF recently released their new rule on pistol braces. Under the new rule, the ATF modified the regulatory definition of a rifle under the NFA. So essentially what they did is they changed the regulatory definition of a rifle under the NFA so that now almost every pistol with a brace attached to it will now actually be considered to be a short-barreled rifle and therefore subject to the NFA's restrictions. The ATF modified that definition of a rifle so that now it will state a weapon that is equipped with an accessory, component, or other rearward attachment, i.e. a stabilizing brace, that provides surface area that allows the weapon to be fired from the shoulder, provided other factors will indicate that the weapon is designed, made, and intended to be fired from the shoulder. That is the new arbitrary test that the ATF is now running to determine whether or not a pistol brace or a braced pistol is in fact an SBR. At step 1, the ATF is going to ask, does the firearm have any accessory attached to it that provides any surface area that could therefore be shouldered? If it does, then they move on to the second step, which is looking at other factors and looking at the firearms holistically and seeing what design features it has, and maybe those design features will therefore indicate that it's in fact a rifle, not a pistol. Those additional factors that the ATF will consider are 1, whether the weapon has a weight or length consistent with the weight or length of similarly designed rifles, 2, whether the weapon has a length of pull that is measured from the center of the trigger to the center of the shouldering stock or other rearward accessory that again is similar to other types of rifles. And they have a whole list throughout the rule where they have weights and length of pulls that you can compare from pistols to rifles. Number 3, whether the weapon is equipped with sights or a scope with eye relief that require the weapon to be fired from the shoulder in order to be used as designed. So there they're talking about the type of optics that you would have on that firearm. 4, whether the surface area that allows the weapon to be fired from the shoulder is created by a buffer tube, receiver extension, or any other accessory component or other rearward attachment that is necessary for the cycle of operations. 5, the manufacturer's direct and indirect marketing and promotional materials indicating the intended use of the weapon. They're kind of talking about how SB Tactical and other companies had prior kind of marketed various braces. So that's why they added in that language. And number 6, information demonstrating the likely use of the weapon in the general community. So they said that they will look at what the firearms community is using these accessories for and how they are using them, and they will use that to determine whether or not something is a pistol or whether or not something is a rifle. And it's this new rule which has redefined firearms with pistol braces on them, redefined them to be actually SBRs, and therefore has brought almost 40 to 100 million new firearms under the regulatory restrictions of the NFA. A bill like this would obviously go a long way to actually prevent those types of actions by the ATF. The ATF claims that they are acting simply under the definitions of the NFA, but if the NFA had no definitions, if it was completely gone, then obviously the ATF could not engage in this type of conduct. Now, in all reality, in my opinion, this is simply a feel-good piece of legislation. Right now, with the current makeup of the House, Senate, and presidency, I'm very confident saying it's next to impossible that something like this would ever actually pass and be made law. It could maybe get passed through the House if there's a huge push for it, but in my opinion, it will simply just die in the Senate, even if it gets past the House. And I never see President Biden ever signing a bill like this into law. So I appreciate bills like this. I agree with them. I agree that the NFA needs to be done away with, that it's unconstitutional. I just simply wish that they would introduce these bills actually when we had the House, Senate, and presidency. However, I doubt they will actually ever do that because it seems like they only ever do this when they actually can't get it passed, when they don't have the House, Senate, and presidency, because a lot of politicians actually don't want the NFA to be done away with. So they just present these feel-good bills whenever they know that they won't get passed because it kind of gives them some sort of political clout. So I like this bill. I appreciate bills like this, but it's very unlikely that anything like this would ever pass, even if we had the House, Senate, and presidency, because they never even present these types of things when we have that. So that's just a quick breakdown of this new bill that was introduced to repeal the NFA, and it was being introduced in direct response to the ATF's new rule on pistol braces. If anything develops, I of course will let you all know. Also, if you like this video and you would like to support the channel, one of the best ways to do that is to like, comment, and subscribe. All those things help to fuel the algorithm, and it signals to YouTube that you guys see value in these videos and in this type of 2A news. As always, I want to thank everybody who likes, comments, subscribes, who hits the notification bell, who shares these videos. You guys are directly impacting these videos, impacting this channel, and helping me to reach and educate more people than I could ever do on my own. Also, I want to mention that I currently have a second YouTube channel. I will leave a link to it down below, and that's where I'm going to house all of my podcasts. I'm doing podcasts every Monday morning. They get released at 7 a.m. So if you're interested in that, if you're interested in a longer form conversation on these types of topics, you can go over and watch my podcast. Make sure you go over there and subscribe to that channel also, because that will serve as a backup channel just in case. And regardless, thank you guys for all of your support, and thank you to everybody who's been watching and listening to the podcast. So as always, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And never forget, this nation was built by armed scholars, and this nation will be maintained by armed scholars.